and so this is exactly what he had to say. It was a cool, solid place to work, very secure. The engine is a piece of crap though. Todd is a charismatic guy for sure. Starfield is looking good. Weekly Thursday playtest since the beginning of the year. More and more stuff coming online. Shooting feels alright. Flying is terrible at the moment in my opinion, just not fun for me. Lighting and stuff is looking better and better, though it's not on the level of Horizon Forbidden West or anything like that, but still a good looking game. In terms of if it will ship, they will try, that's for sure. They'll cut what they need to. They have an overabundance of content, probably too much, so that's not the issue. Finding the fun and, of course, bug fixing is the big thing. It's a sexy date, though, and you only get one of those. Beta is this summer. That's when the picture will truly become clear. The article continues by saying the latter reveal proved to be too much, though, as multiple Reset Era users pointed out that Bethesda Game Studios had never formally announced manual flying to be part of Starfield. When Heavy008 realized that, he requested the cancellation of his Reset Era account and all of his posts to protect himself from potential legal troubles. Later in the thread, Bloomberg journalist Jason Schreier stopped by to confirm that Heavy008 had indeed worked at Bethesda. Schreier couldn't necessarily confirm his information though. At any rate, Starfield fans probably won't have to wait too much longer to get an actual look at the upcoming role-playing game, the first new IP from Bethesda in over 25 years. Now this leak has quite a few people talking because it's not every day that a developer who is under an NDA comes out and reveals so much information about a title that has so little information on it so casually. Now, a few things to focus on here. The first is his clarification about saying the engine is a piece of crap. There were quite a few people who thought that by this, he meant people can expect this game to run poorly. Now, we have no idea how Starfield's going to run. I think the general expectation is that when Starfield launches, it will run well, or at least good enough. I think a lot of people are anticipating that there will be quite a few bugs. This is what Bethesda is known for, but there's also a higher tolerance because they're known for this. So he clarified that he didn't mean the engine is a piece of crap in the sense of it's going to run poorly or people are not going to enjoy playing the game on this engine. He just meant from a development standpoint, he didn't like it. Something else he doesn't like is the flying mechanics in the game, which again is something that a lot of people didn't even know about and weren't expecting to find out about from a former developer on Reset Era. So we're going to have to see how these flight mechanics are, whether or not people actually do like them or if they're that bad. He says the shooting is fine, and I think that kind of lines up with Bethesda. I don't think anybody is going to be playing a game like Starfield expecting it to be a top-tier shooter. That's not really why people play these types of games. And so you look at the other things he talks about. He mentions that there's an overabunding bugs and making sure that it's going to hit that release date, and he makes it sound like they will have no problem cutting certain content out if they need to make sure that they can ship the game on that date. He also mentions the graphical fidelity of Starfield, where he says it's looking good and it's getting better and better, but he's also sure to point out that it's not going to look as good as a game like Horizon Forbidden West. I find it interesting that that's the game he chose to compare it to, because honestly, I would not expect Starfield to look as good as Horizon Forbidden West. I say that simply because Horizon Forbidden West is one of these games where that is one of the standout aspects of it. A lot of people are always impressed with what Guerrilla Games can do on a graphical level, and I think that's just a very high caliber game when it comes to graphical fidelity, and we'll be disappointed to hear that. But again, he's stressing that it looks good, so we're going to have to wait till we see it, and I guess if we want, we can kind of compare it to Horizon Forbidden West and see if what this developer is saying is true. But all in all, I have to say that this was a pretty surprising leak, even as somebody who is not really paying that much attention to Starfield. This caught my attention because, again, this is a game that has a lot of mystery behind it. Bethesda has purposely been very quiet about it. They haven't really said too much. They haven't revealed any footage. And a lot of people are thinking that Starfield is going to be that big game that really shines at the Xbox Bethesda showcase in June. And I think that is true. I think that we will see Starfield have a very big presence at this event. I mean, the time has come, right? The game is going to be releasing at the end of this year, and it's going to be interesting to see how people react to it. It's going to be interesting to see what the flying mechanics look like, what the graphics look like, what the shooting is like, and if this is going to be that really big game, that really monumental game that a lot of people are hoping it will be, because there's a lot of hype around it. And with games like Starfield, I feel like it usually ends up going one way or the other. It ends up either getting close to living up to that hype, maybe just a little bit below what people were expecting, but still a very, very good game when it's all said and done, or it fails to get up to that level or anywhere near it, and it ends up being, I don't want to say a flop, but just a game that ultimately is not what people were hoping for, not what people were expecting. But I think as it stands right now, the expectations for individuals who are very excited for Starfield, how this leak makes you feel, maybe you can let me know down in the comments below. But I think the most important thing here is that the developer clarified that when he called the engine a piece of crap, that he meant from a developer standpoint and having to work with it. Because if he didn't clarify that, I think people, especially after Jason Schreier confirmed that this is a legitimate developer who worked at Bethesda Game Studios, people would have started to maybe feel a little bit nervous that this engine might be a problem. But luckily, it seems like that's not going to be the case. So at this point in time, it seems that all we're left to do is just kind of wait until the Xbox showcase, see how Starfield